Thanks for staying with us. We're not quite through talking hoops, so let's toss it over to Lemont, who's on standby for his one-on-one segment. What's going on, Lemont?
Thanks, gentlemen, and welcome back. The 61st NBA All-Star Game took place this past weekend with a lot of celebrities and NBA players in Orlando, Florida. The West All-Stars held on to the lead, winning a close game by the end by 3 points. Today I have in the studio to discuss the NBA All-Star Game and other sports topics is KCOH radio personality and returning guest Craig Shelton. Craig, welcome back, man.
Appreciate it. Glad to be back, and I appreciate you guys having me in studio.
How was your rodeo cook-off weekend?
Well, wasn't much of a rodeo cook-off weekend for me, but I expect it to improve as the rodeo goes on down the road here, no doubt.
No doubt, no doubt. Starting with the NBA All-Star Game, Craig,
Yep.
To me, it felt like a glorified pickup game until the fourth quarter when things picked up. Talk about the athleticism throughout the game how Kevin Durant was able to win the MVP or Trophy Award in his third season.
Well, ironic that you mentioned pickup game, sort of with some indifference, but I see it as that's kind of what the NBA All-Star Weekend is all about.
Yeah.
I mean, basketball, the culture of basketball is really kind of all about street ball and all of the great legendary street ballers from the East Coast. So to have that kind of marry into the field of the NBA in an exhibition once a year, it's okay. You know, it's not so bad to have that happen. What can you say about Kevin Durant that hasn't been said or that he doesn't display out on the court for you? I mean, the guy's the ultimate professional. He's a team player. He's an old school superstar. You know, he can throw it down, show some athleticism, got the mid-range game, the long game. Hey, no big deal about that guy winning All-Star MVP in his third year. He's very deserving of it. Yeah,
and what does it say about the NBA as far as, overall as a league for Kevin Durant to win the MVP or trophy in his third season?
Well, you know, I think it's a good thing for the league because of the type of superstar he is.
Yeah.
He's a very unique kid. I mean, he stayed in Oklahoma City when he could have went for the bright lights of L.A. or New York. Not that there's anything wrong with doing that, but, I mean, he's a different guy. So I think in an era for the NBA where certain things are unsettled in regard to imaging and the NBA brand, I think Kevin Durant is good for the game.
There's no doubt about it. He's peaking at the right time, and in his third season, you never know. We might see him again in the finals, leading that, like you said, the Oklahoma Thunder team to the finals this year.
I expect to see him in the finals.
Okay, we'll see that. And it's another storyline from the NBA All-Star Game as well. Kobe Bryant surpassed Michael Jordan as the career all-time scoring leader in the NBA All-Star Game. When it's all said and done, Craig, how will we look back and reflect on Kobe's career in this generation?
You know, it's going to sound strange perhaps to say this, but I think Kobe may end up being a bit underappreciated.
Wow.
I mean, the numbers are what they are. You won't be able to get away from the numbers. But Kobe is not the most beloved superstar in regard to how he's received by the public eye with some of the things that have gone on in his personal life. And then he's not really considered to be an original with his style of play.
Yeah.
You know, it's obvious that Kobe grew up a big fan of the whole Michael Jordan phenomena, as many kids did. They just didn't have Kobe's game to back it up. But I think Kobe may go a little bit unappreciated, and that's too bad because he is one of the deadliest, dead-on superstars to have ever played the game, and I think he's an all-time top 5 player.
There's no question, and one thing that I like about Kobe that you probably mentioned, but I want to add as well, is that he's probably the best closer in our generation outside of Michael Jordan. His fact that when it's on the line, when Kobe gets the ball in his hand, it's lights out, majority of the time.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, switching gears, Craig, another big event, in my opinion, took place this weekend. That's the NFL 2012 NFL Combine.
Yeah.
With RG3 running away with it and still in the show and all the highlights. And, now that we got a chance to see RG3 run the 40, and he clocked officially 4.41 40-yard dash, what should we expect from RG3, Robert Griffin III, as a quarterback going into the season?
That's a very, very, very interesting question depending on where he goes.
Yeah.
You know, we get so so wound up in a performance like what we saw with RG3 at the combine, and I don't know why people are losing their heads over it. What did you expect him to run slow? He's a world-class hurdler. I was more impressed with the fact that a 6'4" Andrew Luck ran a 6'7". But in regard to your question with RG3, you know, it's hard to say. I mean, when you have that type of athleticism, I think his second year will be more telling than his first year. If he goes to a bad team like a Cleveland, he doesn't have a lot of offensive support around him, not a real inventive offensive system around him. You may see him do some things with his legs that are exciting, but not necessarily good for him long term in regard to health and his overall development. Then you start to get into year 2, year 3, and you don't see the mental maturation process where it should be. So, you know, it's going to be really interesting to see where he goes, what's around him, offensive coordinator-wise, quarterback's coach, and how he develops.
All right, Craig, it's time to put you on the hot seat.
Let's do it.
All right, staying with the draft. What is the #1 draft need for the Houston Texans going into the April's draft?
I think the #1 draft need for the Houston Texans is to make a sound philosophical choice. It's not in regard to a player, quote, wide receiver position. The wide receiver thing I think is a bit overplayed in Gary Kubiak's system because Owen Daniels and Arian Foster are his #2 and 3 receivers. I think it's take the best available player on the board. If he's a big defensive tackle late in the first round and you choose to stay there and not trade down, you take that player. It's all about the philosophical approach.
All right, Craig, good stuff. Before we leave, tell the viewers again where they can check out your radio show as well as your blog site information.
You can get the radio show on KCOH 1430 AM. I'm on air Sundays from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock with my co-host, former NFL defensive back Marcus Coleman. And you can also catch me Tuesdays guest hosting 5 to 6 on KCOH on Sports Rap with Ralph Cooper.
Also your website, your blog site information.
HoustonMediaWatch.com. That's www.HoustonMediaWatch.com.
Great stuff, man. You always do some great stuff on that blog, too. I check it out every week.
We appreciate you.
No problem. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that will conclude this week's segment. Until next time, back to you guys.
Thanks, Lemont, and good to have Craig back.
Now we're up against another break, so stay tuned right here as we're set to talk some Texans football when we return.